Good evening, Dr. Green and Professor Green, my professor, Beulah Heights University, classmates, and everyone who will be reviewing my video today, my final presentation for this semester for this class. I will be redoing it. I was so excited about the last one I did, so I'm actually doing it on the same topic. And Professor Green, my professor and amazing professor, I'll be doing this on this national issue once again on the prison system. That is a true national, in my opinion, tragedy, not just here in the state of Georgia, but all around the country. You could probably say in some aspects around the world. And I have some very, very interesting and some ways jaw-dropping statistics to back up my topic, how this is horrific and getting worse by the day. So here we go. Dr. Professor, class based at Beulah Heights, the United States of America needs an entire overhaul of the prison system and jail system, as some have called a modern day, to be honest, a modern day slavery. From the average ages of 12 years old to 14 years old, young men and women of minorities, especially blacks and whites, even Mexicans, are getting arrested or have arrest records now, causing them to get their social security number and their name and profile into the system for petty minority crimes, even as a child and juvenile. And as soon as many of them get a few years older from being a juvenile, those ages, and get into some sort of trouble for even a small or lesser or any kind of offense against law enforcement in any way or form, there they go right there once, going back to jail once or twice or three times. We could even call it 3 strikes and you out. Already, and most likely, out of middle school or high school. Many of them have been middle school or high school dropouts. Lots of them, a large percentage of them. And now you have or got a felony or on your record. So with that being said, getting into the military for these young men or young women with a felony on your record is most likely not going to happen. Getting a good job is most likely not going to happen. And for the most part, you're probably unemployed. You're probably in a situation where your family don't have money to bond you out of jail, to bond you, get you out of prison, or hire you a good lawyer to get you out of whatever it is you got in, because these pro bono and citywide and state attorneys that these young men and women get assigned, let me say this nicely, a lot of them, for the most likely, don't have their best interests at heart. Some of them do. I'm not going to judge them, but there's a high rate of going to prison for a long time with a court-appointed attorney. They have jobs like everyone else, and they do the best they can, but someone you hire and pay a large amount of money is going to go to bat for you, go to war for you, and probably most likely do a better job. I'm turning to my next page. So as of this moment right now, as we speak, July 11th, 2024, there are over 62,000 men and women locked up or incarcerated in the state of Georgia together, either in jail or in prison. This is the 3rd highest per capita in the nation, behind only California and Texas. Watch this. There are more prisons in the state of Georgia than colleges. And I know that's mind-dropping and boggling, but that is a fact. Let me say that again. There are 91 prisons and or detention centers in the state of Georgia, and there are 84 colleges. That means there are 8 more prisons than there are universities. Meaning, get this now, the higher powers in Atlanta, the city council and the state council up there feel like, if you really look at the numbers and all the information and the statistics in the state of Georgia, they're more likely in the education system. How you doing? More likely in the education system or either in law enforcement numbers. They feel like these young men and women, you're more likely to end up to go to prison than to go to college. And the numbers back that up. And to be honest with you, they're getting worse. So here's my information. Well, let me just get everybody in on some more mind-boggling and jaw-dropping stats with that on this pipeline of prison system that's going. Almost by the day, because this prison system and prison economy is very, very big business. And let me enlighten you, because I'm gonna kind of explain it and kind of direct you so you can see where I'm going with this. Michael Jordan himself, a renowned billionaire from athlete, and several other billionaires in this country are right now currently heavily invested now in prisons, in jails, and or detention centers. Many like himself own several of these prisons and or detention centers right now in several different states. Why is that? Because they are actually great big business for small rural counties, rural areas out in the country. This is my background. I'm at the Columbus, Georgia Public North Columbus Library. I'm at where I get a lot of done in this building behind me. So I'm at the library. So these prisons for these out in the woods, small areas in the country are big business for these small areas in town, in whatever town they're in. And I'm gonna explain why. When these billionaires invest this money in these rural areas in all 50 states, they're everywhere, whether you see them or not. They send these state representatives or delegates, kind of like scouts, out to go drive all around the state, sometimes for days and weeks. I don't want to say months at a time, because in some aspects, it don't take that long to find somewhere, to find some open rural areas to build these prisons. And once they find these open rural areas that the state is not using, that's just been there for months and months and years at a time, these billionaires kind of get an overview or oversee of it, and they buy and purchase that land, and then they buy it probably between 12 to 15 acres of this land. And then they go hire this big construction company with tractors and trailers and road gravers and land gravers to go out there and go clear out all that land and all that wood and all, and all that, grass. Hold on one second. So once they clear out all that grass and land and woods and bought that land, watch this. Then they go hire a contractor to build up their prison, to put it up. And once they hire that contractor to put it up, as soon as that prison comes up, as soon as it comes up out in these woods, this flat land, this rural area, that prison automatically, for the most part, is going to be at least a 1,000 man to 1,200 man or woman detention center or prison. Once it comes up, follow me now, pay attention to me. That is immediately 300 good paying jobs for correction officers. Ask me how I know. I'm a retired correction officer. I'm a retired correction officer myself. That's how I know. I'm retired. So when that prison come up, 300 jobs, and probably that lowest paying job is about $14 an hour. That's for the cook. Correction officer gonna be averagely paid somewhere between 30, 35, 37, $40,000 a year. Good jobs. That prison immediately created 300 jobs for correction officers and another 100 great paying jobs for the staff. The warden probably making 80,000 a year. Deputy warden 60 or 70,000 a year. All the other staff, the civilian personnel that has to cut the grass and work on the perimeter vehicle, just there go 350 to 400 great jobs created because of the prison system. But now, how do we get there? These young men and women, blacks and whites and minorities, keep getting arrested every day, going to jail, keeping these numbers high, making the state and these billionaires and everyone else having to build these jails and build these prisons because they got to put you somewhere. That's why we here, where these numbers are at. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, I think y'all starting to kind of see and kind of get the picture of where I'm at, what I'm trying to get you all to see. So watch this. 5 out of 8 young black men in Georgia between the ages of 18 and 40 are on what we call law enforcement paper or document in some way. Watch this. These young men between these ages are already in jail, waiting to go to prison, already in prison, just coming out of prison, or on probation, parole, and or out on bond currently. Let's examine that. 5 out of these 8 men between these ages of 18 and 40, or when I say not only they're on paper, they're in the law enforcement system. Damaging. Most likely you're a convicted felon. That's a setback in society all by itself. So let's stay right there since I said that. But you got it? Between those ages of 18 and 40, young black men and minorities are in jail, waiting to go to prison, already in prison, just coming out of prison, on probation, parole, bond, paperwork. Already a life setback. You behind the 8 ball already. Many of them got kids, families, bills, whatever you want to name. You see where I'm going? Are y'all starting to get this picture? So this is not some underground railroad to prison. It is a I-85 north or south, east or west path to being locked up, and watch this, or the horrific alternative to that, to being locked up. Now watch this. Do any of you all looking at me now in this video understand the outrageous, horrifying, and terrible murder rate in this country right now? From young black men, even young black women. It's scary to think about. Okay, I got some more stats on paper. Right now in this country, at this unbelievable death rate, there are about 300 young black men murdered in this country every day. Right now while we're talking, while I'm doing this video. Majority of it, black on black crime. Keeping these funeral homes filled up with bodies for young black men and minority men. Watch this. Not just the black on black crime, because trust me when I tell you, the gang-related killings may be the largest and the most, and the violent deaths, drive-by shootings, however you want to spin it. But here we go. You have DUIs, drunken and driving, alcohol-related death, drug-related deaths, overdose, domestic violence death, these young black men killing their wives, killing their women, or the women killing them. So it's still one way or another, how you want to spin it, it's still a domestic violence death for that young man who will spend the next 40 to 50 years of his life in prison with a life sentence, killing that young lady, or that young lady killing him, putting him in an early grave. Or, watch this, a life sentence in Georgia is 25 years by itself. Basically almost 30 years. Maybe you can get out 2-3 years early, but that's a death sentence because the majority of the best years of your life, you just spent incarcerated. You just spent locked up. That's almost a death sentence. And then some inmates do die in jail from all that bad eating and non-healthy eating, smoking, and God knows what else goes on. So look at that death rate I just told you about, all those examples from an early grave, young black men and in the prison system. Let that sink in, let it digest. Because I want to paint a picture to every last one of y'all looking at me and seeing this video so y'all can get this and kind of share this information and think about everything I'm telling you. But I got plenty more information. So the accidental deaths between these young black men and women, suicides, violent deaths, domestic violence, drug-related, alcohol-related. The list goes on and on. The list goes on and on. Okay. And if you don't believe me, if you're a responsible adult, go turn your local news on right now. Go turn on CNN, whatever the case may be. And if you're like me, you follow the news every day. You like to know what's going on in the world and your local community. It is horrifying, horrific. It's got adults and the elderly scared to sometimes come out of their house. People hear me good. What I'm finna say, please hear me good. The church, men and women of God in every denomination, deacons, pastors, preachers, bishops, ministers, missionaries, auxiliary leaders, volunteers, law enforcement officials, retirees, retired military, whatever the case may be, we all got to get involved. Because, watch this now, watch this. These young black men are not just killing each other. Look at the amount of horrifying deaths in this country in the last 15 to 20 years where some elderly people have got killed and got murdered by some young men or young women, wherever they was, whatever denomination of person, the people they was, at a supermarket, in a parking lot, at a grocery store, at a pharmacy, at Walmart, mass shootings, mass killings at concerts, nightclubs, everywhere, violent deaths, young people with guns. Don't even get on me with these guns. I mean, that's another sermon, basically a video even by itself on guns. So look at this news. Chicago has a higher murder rate between young black men and young minorities than Afghanistan or Iraq or Iran overseas in combat, than the military. That's a fact. So, but once again, back to it. But the gang-related deaths are more horrible and horrific than most of them because these gang-related deaths are happening with mass, big, automatic, military-style law enforcement weapons, scaring everybody. Horrific to think about and to look at. Absolute. We're not even going to get in right now to the school shootings that's happened with these young kids all over the country. I can't count the number of times in the last 15, 20 years. The numbers are tragic, horrifying, ridiculous, and scary. Think about everything I put in here. Go back and relook at this video. But fasten your seatbelts. Watch this, I got more. Do any of you all have any earthly idea about this pipeline, the prison system I'm talking about, that's got to stop, that's got to come to a halt any way possible? Do y'all have any idea how this prison system, pipeline, the prison system, jail system, has damaged society to the core, right here, right now, as we speak? I have 2 grown daughters. Think about that, 2 grown young daughters that's in their 20s that do not have a husband. But watch this, what I'm getting ready to say, following up with that statement. In Atlanta, Georgia, right now, and every major to medium-sized city in this country. The rate of gay men, transgender, LGBTQ community, however you want to spin it, of gay men that's getting STDs every day from other men, other women inside these prison systems and these prisons and jails every day. Diseases. These gays, men and women, are coming out of jail in these prisons with these diseases, spreading them all over society. These young men gonna marry somebody someday. Could be my daughter, could be somebody else's daughter. They could be intimate with somebody's child somewhere, spreading these diseases they got in jail, in prison. And even their whole lifestyle that they learned and changed into while they was locked up in prison. Some of these men and women, whatever they want to call themselves, transgender, whatever their case, someone may be like this the rest of their life. You know how they got this way? In jail and in prison. In them bunks, in them cell blocks with 300-400 other men or 300-400 other women. That's how they got that way. And I know a lot of them, they weren't born that way, but that's how they got it. But this is a fact of society. That's what goes on in there. I spent 11 years working in there. That's how I know. So that's the gays. And I wanted y'all to see that number and how this directly affects society. Because there's still some uncurable diseases you can catch in jail and prison and there's no cure for. Think about that. So here we go. 2 out of 5 black men of these minorities, 2 out of 5 black men of these minorities, blacks and minorities, coming out of jail are full-blown gay with most likely a major STD. How do I know this? Once again, I worked there. I've seen it with my own eyes. Horrifying and horrific and terrible. This retired first sergeant right here you're looking at, and retired correction officer. And I'm no one's judge, I'm a pastor now. A man of faith, have been in the ministry for 19 years. I don't judge anyone. They're still a child of God. That's still somebody's son. That's still somebody's brother. That's still somebody's daddy. That's still somebody's nephew. But how did they get that way? From the prison system. I'm looking eye to eye in this video because I want you to see how serious I am about this. Because this is what I know. This ain't what I heard. And it's horrifying to think about that. That these young men or women, fresh out of jail and prison, or tonight or this weekend or every weekend out on a date with somebody's child or daughter with God knows what they got inside that jail or that prison. How'd they get there? Remember, I started back with the ages at the beginning of this video. 10, 11, 12, 13 years old as a juvenile, getting in trouble. Getting that record, that pipeline to prison. But stay right there. Got some more for don't leave me yet. Here we go. These ex-felons, current felons, just getting out of jail, just getting out of prison. Watch this. Pay real close attention to what I'm going to tell you. Where are these prison felons going to live at when they get back to society? Most of their families have thrown them away, thrown them in the trash, don't want nothing to do about them. Nothing to do with them and about them. Think about that. They're coming out of jail, coming out of prison. With nowhere to live, they're going to be on the streets, living in a tent, behind a building, in some woods, anywhere with God knows what, with no money, still need to eat, still need to live. They'll do anything to anybody to eat and have somewhere to live. You let that sink in. Think about that. It could be me or you, or someone we love or care about. Where are these ex-felons or current felons? Where they're going to work, where they're going to live, how they going to live? Some of them don't want to live in a dumpster, behind a dumpster, in the woods. Some of them going to want to stay in a hotel, get a bed, get an apartment. Probably don't have any credit, any kind of good credit. They're going to have to live with a family member. And watch this. Over there behind Rutledge State Prison, and I got pictures and proof. If they die in jail or die in prison, and the family don't claim the body within 90 days, they got a graveyard behind the prison system. They just take them back there and bury them behind the prison. No one claimed the body. Horrifying and horrific for it to happen to one of your family members or one of our family members. So here we go. These convicts, ex-cons, fresh out of jail and prison. They need a paycheck. They need a Social Security check. They need an SSI check. They need some money to get on their feet, to get an apartment, to have somewhere to live, to pay a light bill, to pay a cell phone bill, to get a car, to re-get a driver's license. They need a family member to look out for them. Who gonna hire them? Is it the gas station, the dollar store, Walmart, department store, Target? Can they get a good job in an office somewhere for an insurance company? No. No one's gonna hire them. Most people not gonna touch them. Can they get a job at a fast food place? Most likely. You know, or a gas station somewhere. Maybe some will, maybe some won't. But what's the result if they don't? They done got thrown away, and they done got kicked out of society. And some of them just not gonna go out like that. So watch this while we right there. Watch this. Out of the 62,000 prisoners in Georgia, 45,000 of them, 2/3 of them, are repeat or multiple offenders, reciprocal offenders. That means 2/3 of the ones that's locked up in Georgia right now, men and women, this is a second or third, maybe even fourth offense. Repeat offenders. 3 strikes you out. It's over with. A lot of times you'll spend the rest of your life in jail or in prison. Or even if you don't, and get out on good behavior or whatever the situation may be, where you gonna go? Where you gonna eat and work? Society don't trust you. In most eyes, you're a castaway, you're a cast out. Nobody wants to be involved or be bothered with you. Nobody, you make people uncomfortable. They don't even want you around them. So watch this. Part of that reciprocal effect, repeat offenders and multiple offenders, part of that comes because of the good living in jail and prison. For those of y'all that don't know, the governor told us years ago in a meeting with all correction officers from every major state prison in the state, if you treat these young men and women like animals, they're gonna behave and act like animals. They are human beings. So guess what? Them boys in there and women in there eating barbecue, eating good big fat breakfast meals, lunch and dinner, 3 meals a day, with a bed, with a medical office, with medical personnel. So they're getting free medical care. They got a vision office to get their eyes checked out. So they're getting free medical, free vision in there right now, 3 good meals, no utility bills. They're not paying the light bill, cable bill, or phone bill. Get to use the little phone from time to time. 3 hours a week, you get to go use the computer, the law library, to look at your case and to communicate with your lawyer. Law library, they got volleyball, basketball in the gym in there. They got rec call where they play softball sometimes, a little touch football. They got all these hot meals. They got a uniform on. They got GED courses. You can't take any college courses now. You follow me with all that? They living better in there than it was out here on the street. That's why some of them go back. Some of them come out with nowhere to go. Nowhere to live, nowhere to go. They homeless, they hungry, kicked out of society. They're gonna do something to go back, to live good. They wanna eat and live just like me and you. Here we go. The prison reciprocal system. And I know people got to get punished and pay their debt to society. They're supposed to from doing something wrong, breaking the law. They're supposed to. But in some ways and aspects of form, some of them I would say are, I hate to say, doomed from the start. Because of the color of their skin, their background, minorities, Mexican, Latinos, Korean in some cases, poor whites, whatever the case may be. The state of Georgia, now I haven't looked at the other 49 states. They feel like young men and women, if y'all see this video, you most likely going to prison, they're going to college. And the numbers back that up. When we gonna break the cycle and stop that? The church got to get in. The Holy Spirit got to get in. We all got to stop this. These young men and women are hurting innocent people to get money, to get food. Carjacking, car robberies, break-ins, all that. Can't get a good job. Some of them never ate at a 5-star restaurant, never slept in a nice hotel, never eat bit out of their neighborhood, getting recruited every day, even in middle school and high school, by the gangs. And look at how good they live inside a prison. They'll do something to go back. They don't want to sleep on the ground and in the freezing cold and in the heat with bugs and animals on the ground at night. These are somebody's children, family members, loved ones. The system is failing them, And we people in society, in a lot of ways, are failing the system. God bless you all. Hopefully you got some great and awesome information from this video. You all be blessed. Hopefully it was informative. This was passionate from my heart because I worked there and I've seen these young men that I was mentored. I hope they get their life together and hope they get a second chance on life. God bless you all. Be blessed. Dr. Green, classmates, you all be blessed for this semester. Thank you.